Power. The nature of humanity.
All desire it. Few can obtain it. Few can hold so much power. It rightfully belongs to them.
We are not the same.
You work for money. Money works for me.
I pity you.
But for the less fortunate, there is a compromise. You can simulate a fraction of the power people like me hold.
There's a game genre called roguelikes.
Start from nothing, work your way up the ladder, and succeed.
Get a chance to play God. Before we begin, let's define exactly what a roguelike game is.
It's a type of game where you clear stages and gain power as you progress. However, if you die, you start all the way back at the beginning.
Each game varies depending on gameplay, style, and consequences for death.
Some games, called roguelites, allow you to keep some progress after dying.
Though many do not allow you to take anything beyond the curtain, besides raw knowledge.
Generally, these games are not forgiving, much like life.
But alphas like us do not need forgiveness.
With that said, let's talk about our first experience.
Dead Cells is a side-scroller roguelite in which you cut, shoot, and roll through a land plagued by, well, plague. You start as this swampy little collection of cells and take form to ravage through whatever may impede you. As with just about any roguelike, you have a library of mystical and interesting weapons to have some fun with. You've got swords, whips, shields, cannons, just about anything a pile of sludge in medieval times could ask for. Of course, with that variety of weapons comes a variety of weaponized COVID-19 patients who want to spread their little flu around. Some swing, some shoot, some explode, you get the picture. Now, with all this variety, one thing Dead Cells doesn't fail to teach is the following. Now, your mama might have told you that you're special, but that's only true for some of us. The exact same thing applies for weapons and items in Dead Cells. In this game, you start from the bottom, and you must make use of the shoddy trinkets that are thrown at you. But as you progress, those trinkets get a little shinier, and the enemies get a little tougher. You'll realize that some items must be abandoned in favor of the bigger fish. The grind has no time to slow down for anything but the best. Otherwise, you'll be outclassed and you'll lose to the system, again and again. But don't let this discourage you. This world will not let you off easy. You'll take heavy blows and find yourself at the bottom all over again. But no winner stays down. You get back up and you return to the grind. No questions asked.
Now, if you're familiar with my content, you'll be familiar with this next experience.
Enter the Gungeon is a funky little game where everything is a gun. You go into the gun dungeon, or the Gungeon as it's called, and try to blast your way through as many chambers as possible. All in an attempt to acquire the gun that can kill the past and change history.
The entire point of the game is to exit the entire industry by going down different floors, 5 total. With a boss at every single one, you have to kill your past to truly exit the Gungeon.
Each character has their own motives for being there, as well as their own unique abilities. There's more than enough guns to use on more than enough enemies, and a large assortment of formidable bosses to conquer.
The Ammoconda. It's a large snake that just goes. The snake has no set pace, it's all random, just like the entire game.
Now, as with real life, it is always best to do the following. Being perfect comes easy to someone like me, and this is especially useful in Enter the Gungeon. If you don't take any damage in a boss fight, you'll be rewarded with a Master Round. This item awards you with more health and the pride of being simply superior. But how does one remain perfect? Well, I'm glad you asked. There's two ways to avoid the onslaught of bullets in this game. Option 1 is to dodge roll through bullets to avoid getting hit. Option 2 is to weave in between the spaces of the bullets. Understanding when to apply these skills will guarantee your success.
Well, you're in the Gungeon, and you have to get
Yes.
out of the Gungeon.
That's the second game is leaving the Gungeon. The first game is just killing your past. That's it. That's it.
If one truly wants to succeed, they must walk through hell.
Luckily, I have a game just for you.
Hades is a roguelite success story unlike any other. You control Zagreus, the son of Hades, and attempt to break out of the underworld in defiance of your father. Your escape attempts are accompanied by many legendary Greek deities, as well as numerous items, monsters, and figures from Greek mythology. There's even fish! Few games can immerse you so deeply in a setting, especially as one as intricate as the underworld. With every attempt to reach the surface comes rich story and interesting dialogue. No game in this genre delivers such a full narrative experience. With that being said, here's some advice. Your connections define the exact extent of your influence and power. This remains just as true in Hades. The efforts of Zagreus would purely be in vain if it were not for the help of the Greek gods and goddesses. It is vital that you establish connections and enlist their aid to succeed. As well as this, as brutal as Hades is, you should certainly not fret. Anyone who leaves a good impression on this world will live on through that impression. But in Hades, you live on no matter what, you're already in the underworld. Should you be careless in this game, you may just have the strength to defy death itself. But when you do finally succumb to death's grasp, you can become stronger each attempt. Being a roguelite, Hades allows you to always become more powerful, even after failure.
Those three games do have quite a lot going for them.
But why should they restrict themselves to 2 dimensions? Let's talk about a game that dared to look upwards.
Risk of Rain 2 is the only 3-dimensional game I'll be reviewing today. And with that extra dimension comes a responsibility to fill it with content. And oh goodness does it deliver. This game throws you onto some voodoo wasteland where lizard people emerge from the ground.
To be honest, you kind of go numb when you start playing it. After a while, you just go,
You gotta find the teleporter, beat some big dude, charge the teleporter, and then move on to the next area. This process can repeat indefinitely if you so desire. However, somewhere along the way, it's more likely that you'll be turned into a pile of flesh pudding from something you didn't even see coming.
you zone out at around the 5th stage, and you just keep clicking. If you see a red health bar above something, you just hold down your click button until that thing goes away. And you see gold, and you're like, oh, great. It's cost me $15,000 to open a common crate now because I'm on level 70. I can't do anything. And then an enemy just goes...
So if you want a shot at success, you're gonna have to work for it. And keep something important in mind. In Risk of Rain 2, difficulty starts out easy. However, every second that passes increases the difficulty. Spending too long in an area can spell your own death. With some difficulties becoming so dangerous, their names begin to border poorly written creepypastas from 2013. Even with that in mind, don't get too ahead of yourself. If you wish to stand a chance against the big boys, you'll have to prepare. Nothing completes a good roguelike like massive steroid-ridden boss monsters do. Luckily for us, Risk of Rain 2 has quite a selection of these creatures. They always spawn whenever you activate a teleporter and must be killed to progress. Give them some personal space, but still be close enough to the teleporter to charge it.
The bussing fungus is my favorite item just because you can keep stacking it over and over and over. and you'll just keep getting healing, and the healing will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're the one who will be bussing because your health will always be at max.
Follow that advice, and you'll survive the rainstorm just fine.
We've ventured into the deepest depths and ascended to the greatest heights.
Let's take a look at an experience that plummets you straight into man's greatest foe. Nature.
Noita is probably the most unique game on this list. It's almost charmingly simple at first glance. Everything is pixelated and seemingly straightforward. You control this cool little wizard dude with his cool little wizard wand. However, reality quickly sets in once you boldly attempt to learn what you're doing. Fire burns, poison hurts, pale men with guns are not to be trusted. Even if you're a kingpin in society like myself, none of it matters in nature. But what nature taketh, nature giveth. A well-balanced alpha male runs on water. Any Noita veteran would know this. There are a multitude of unfavorable substances you can be soaked with in this game. Luckily, water can cleanse you of it all. Learn from Noita men. Drink water. Oh, and another thing to add. The world is rough. It is unforgiving and dangerous. Luckily, I never allow myself to miss my bi-weekly self-care trip to the Bahamas, so I'm doing alright. Even in Noita, self-care trips like these should be taken. In between every stage, you may find a portal leading to the Holy Mountain. This sacred little establishment contains health, perks, and that sweet, sweet water. If you feel like you're under pressure, see if you can't run down as far as you can and take a load off that Holy Mountain.
Well, there's 5 of the roguelikes the world has to offer.
There really is no experience quite like a power trip. I pity that you have no such power in life. But perhaps these games are good enough.
Who knows? Maybe one day, you'll be so successful that you work under me.
Just maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have an appointment with the CEO of Money in 1 hour. Well, on that note, I'll be headed out. See ya.